We're going to plant some sweet corn today. Along the way, we've got several different things to show you, so stay tuned.
Okay, we're using Johnny 2 for a little tilling here. Bigger tractor, so we needed a bigger tiller. Thanks to MonroeTufline.com for providing this one. It's got 6 times per flange, it's gear drive, it's got a slip clutch, and it's heavy. So it meets all my requirements for a tiller. I think every episode we've shot with the 2038R, the first question is, what do you think of those tires? I've been wondering about those tires. I'd like to hold off until we have more experience to give a more, thorough review. Looks like the parking stand's digging in there a little bit. I'm going to have to figure out how to raise that up a bit higher. But back to the tires, I'm actually surprised at how much traction we get. While they look a lot like a turf tire, they're actually pretty aggressive. So far, I just haven't had any traction issues. Hopefully we'll get a chance for a better demonstration later.
This is my first experience with this tiller. Neighbor Rex used it yesterday. He had positive things to say about it. And so far, I really like it too. It's a little bit wider than the 4-foot, so I think it's helping to level the surface a little bit more. It's still not going to level like a 30-foot field cultivator, but most of us don't have 30-foot field cultivators for our gardens, right?
I had some trouble deciding whether I wanted a 5-foot or 6-foot tiller for this tractor. I decided to go with the 6-foot model. We'll see how that goes over the course of this season. Based on discussions online, my tilling jobs seem to be a little bit tougher than some viewers. I find the 4-foot King Cutter XB to be a heavy load for the 1025R in a lot of my applications. Others say they have no problems with a 54-inch or even a 60-inch. I suspect our soil is heavier and wetter than most. A sandy type soil would definitely pull easier. Some might ask why the loader is in this configuration. Well, first, I leave the loader frame on because the tiller's heavy on the back and the loader frame serves as front weights. I took the bucket off for better visibility.
This crossways tilling I thought would be good to kind of level that out, but it's having the opposite impact. It seems to be actually magnifying the humps and not helping at all on the valleys. So I think I'm going to have to till it just long ways. I may have to back in or something because of those first 3 rows, but I think I'm just going to have to till it long ways again and call that good because those humps are getting magnified.
Yeah, it looks
through
like
no fault of this tiller. It's just any tiller, the way it's going to work. So, this roughness was caused by me plowing it with that land in the middle and everything. So, yeah, we'll just have to deal with that this year.
About the time I started tilling this, Christy reminded me of an appointment she had, so I had to go fast. I usually drive much slower with the tiller, but I was kind of doing leveling here anyway. It had been tilled several times. We're only about 15 miles from our Carmel house, and the soil is still black, but it's a lot different. It's much heavier and it retains moisture. In other words, it stays wet longer. I think this is why the farmers in the area do most of their tillage in the fall, and then they just hit it really light and really shallow with a field cultivator in the spring.
Okay, that's not perfect, but it'll have to do. We're almost out of time this morning. We got to get the corn planted.
Yep. You have one advantage. You have 2 tractors. You don't have to go change implements.
Yeah, that actually saves a lot of time. Several folks have asked what seed we grow. We get our seed from forthegrower.com. That's the number 4, thegrower.com. I hated that it's so late this year that we're getting our first sweet corn planting out because it's probably too late for you to actually buy your seed. I'm going to tell you what we're using. The hybrid number is SV9010SA. Yeah, that's not as sweet sounding as Ambrosia or Silver Queen or some of these names you've heard a long time, but this is what we're using. Now, forthegrower.com has a lot of varieties of sweet corn, and they describe each one as to strengths and weaknesses and sweetness, adaptability to different climates. It's a great site, a great resource to find out which one you want to plant. This variety is Roundup ready. I realize that some of you guys are anti-Roundup, and that's fine, but we're choosing to plant that corn, and well, it's our property, we're going to plant it. So remember that forthegrower.com has all kinds of varieties, traditional, Roundup ready, Liberty Link, whatever you might want. Okay, we're going to put some corn in here. Now we don't need much, of course, because we're such a small area, but we don't have much. So now this box looks kind of dirty inside, but it doesn't matter. If you see that little hole right down there is where the corn has to be. I bet that's loud. We'll fill that little hole. Actually, I'll put a little more. I just put it all in there. This was 2,500 kernels. So I don't know. They may not even have enough to plant the whole garden. Here we go. I've set it a little deeper than last time. We'll see how it goes.
Watch close and you can see the seeds falling into that little trench.
Oh my goodness, that looks deep.
Okay, so I'm preparing to adjust the depth here. The depth stop has pressure against it if the gauge wheels are down. So I have to lift it up before I can make that adjustment. Those two wheels, one on each side of the disc openers, are what control the depth. This depth stop provides fine-tuned control over those gauge wheels. You can tell it's too muddy because those press wheels on the back are picking up the mud.
There's a kernel right there. I don't know if we can get to where you can see it. But it shows, oops, I just covered it. It shows that length exactly that I'm talking about. Now, it's too wet here to plant. But it's June, guys, so we're going to get some sweet corn planted, and it's supposed to rain. That should cover for us a little bit.
Still got corn?
Still got corn!
I've already had a lot of fun with this corn planter. If you haven't seen them, go check out our other episodes, one where we actually pick up the planter, and another where my family comes and helps me set it up and get it adjusted just right. This 1-row planter is much like their 12-row planter that they have. It uses a technology which became popular in the 70s. It's called a plateless planter. Earlier planters have a seed plate designed for a specific size seed. The seed companies sorted their seeds such that a bag contained seeds of all the same size. The bag would specify which plate was necessary for that particular size. Well, none of those plates are very good for shriveled sweet corn, so a plateless works much better.
Do we want to save enough for another planting? Probably, don't we? We'll do one more row. Christy, we've got 12 rows planted now.
Yum.
Yeah. If it all comes up, we'll have more corn than we know what to do with.
Yeah.
We saved a little bit of our 2,500 kernels for maybe one more planting. It is June now, so it's probably, you know, one more planting is all we're going to be able to do.
But Catriel's going to want some when she comes home from her summer.
Now, I don't know how late this is going to be. I mean, you know, it's hard for me to calculate, and it's really hard to know this time of year because it does grow fast. So we'll probably wait. Who knows? We might even plant some next week while your dad's here.
Oh, that would be good.
Some of you have asked why we have only a 1-row planter instead of a 2-row planter. Well, the reason we've done that is so that we don't plant directly behind the tire tracks. With this approach, we plant in between the tire tracks on freshly tilled soil. And I think this is a good illustration of that. Look at this Deere track right here in the row. He sinks down maybe that far, right? So the soil is nice and soft. But if we see where he comes from, he comes right up this wheel track that we have made, and he barely sinks in at all. There's several tracks there, but you can see this one right here. It's really hard there, where the tractors run over it twice actually because of, you know, 2 rows. You know, if I'd have planted in that, it wouldn't have been a very good seed bed. So for these little tractors, if it were me, I'd recommend either a 1-row or a 3-row so that you could straddle only 1 row with your tractor. With larger tractors, typically you straddle 2 rows with the tires on a 60-inch center for 30-inch rows. But with these little guys, it just doesn't work that way. So for a subcompact tractor, 1 or 3 would be my recommendation. Okay, let's look at this stand here a little bit. First of all, we were planting right before a big rain. We didn't get any video of the planting because the rain was literally 10 minutes away and I just didn't have time. So I didn't plant it very deep. I only planted it about 1 inch deep, and I think that may have hindered my stand a little bit. But I want you to see right in here, with the exception of the big Deere track, we have stalks every, 5-6 inches, just like they're supposed to be. 1 stalk per time. In other words, it never dropped doubles, except I may see a double right over there. There's 2 stalks within 1 inch or so. Then it looks like there's a skip. It's hard to know if they're skips or not. A skip would be extra space. It's really hard to know because the corn didn't come up really well. So it's possible that there was a kernel there and it just didn't sprout, didn't come up. It was cold and wet and conditions were not ideal. I hope you enjoyed seeing this. We're going to enjoy the sweet corn.
Absolutely.
Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time on Tractor Time with Tim. We'll see you next time on Tractor Time with Tim.
And Christy. He always forgets that part. I'm a big part of this thing.
You are the big part of this thing. Without you...
I'm not real big.
Okay, so I'm the biggest part of this thing.
Yeah.